That's how I seen it. Nice guy. Yeah. Single. It's all really.
I know. In this,
Oh my gosh, I felt terrible.
that thing just got my brain. It's just like boom.
Yeah. When fixed.
Yeah, I know. Andy. Looks nice.
Thanks for your reply. Appreciate it. And I understand. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah, just let me know.
I'll have to look.
Are we ready?
Out in front of your house Sunday night.
That's what I heard. Yeah. That was lucky.
Oh, she was lucky.
But I saw the picture. There's no way.
Really tore up the car.
Did he just put $1,400 worth of stuff on it?
Yeah, because
All
put
right.
new tires on it.
Being 7 o'clock, Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, council chambers. I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilman Munger,
Here.
Councilman Haycraft,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson.
Here.
Councilman Cohen,
Here.
Councilman Phillips,
Here.
Councilman Welch,
Here.
and Mayor Lauderman.
Here. There being a quorum present, I'll call this meeting to order. Bob, would you like to read the invocation today, please?
Heavenly Father, thank you for watching over us and protecting us through the day and week. We ask now as we come into this meeting, you would guide us. Give us your wisdom to make decisions that need to be made. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Need a motion for approval of the agenda, please?
So
Motion to approve.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need approval of payroll and claims first half, May of 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment section, Sharon Lake.
I am here kind of asking a favor. My husband and I, John, Sharon Lake, we live in Center, actually. I do drive a school bus in Hannibal. I have for 28 years. I lived here until we got together. We put on fundraisers, side-by-side rides, kayak, poker runs for various events. We have two main side-by-side runs every year, one in spring, one in the fall. The fall one is really a big one. It's for the honor flight. The spring one's a little simpler. We start out between 9 and 11. They have to check back in between 5 and 6. These people are coming from St. Louis, Columbia. They come from Iowa. They come from Illinois. They're people that don't have somewhere to ride a side-by-side because they're in the city. We've gone to Louisiana, Vandalia, Monroe City, Palmyra, all the towns around here. And we can't come into Hannibal because of the permit they have to get for a side-by-side, which is, I think it's around $45 for the inspection and the sticker. And they're only here for a day. So they're not going to do it if we come to Hannibal, and they have to do that. And Hannibal has so much stuff to offer. What we would like to do is part of that ride. They're not in a hurry. These are not the crazy, let's tear things up kind of people. They're just wanting to go out and have a ride, enjoy the day, be out in the sun, hang out with friends, go somewhere. Yes, they're going to drink a beer, which is what we're wanting to do. We would like to be able to come in through the south side area because we go county roads. There'll be Jeeps, there'll be cars, pickups too. because this is a non-leader ride, so we do not go on private property. We do that in the fall. They have a map. We're going to go to Alaska because I think that's a really good place, and I'd like them to see that history. And then we would like to be able to come in through the county road and come through across South Side and go to the Friendship Brewery. I have spoke with them, and they would love to be a part of that. They come in, they'll park in the parking lot. They might walk downtown a little bit, but it gives them the chance to see all the stuff downtown and the cave and all the other things they can do. And then they come back when they can bring, and stay for the day, because they'll have 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours, but they got to move on to the next stop. They can spend as much time as they want at each stop, but they still are only going to have so much time. So this particular ride that we do, we donate the money to different places. We have given it to the food pantry because after COVID, they were really short and there was a lot more people eating food. So we did that one year. We raised funds to renovate the old Shortline Depot in Center, Missouri, which was a historic structure that was falling in. We just had a ground opening there. And this time, we would like to use the money to build an honor wall for veterans. We're real big on the veterans. I'm on the board of directors of the Honor Flight, the Great River Honor Flight. We do our ride in the fall for the Honor Flight to raise money. We've raised about $60,000 there. What I'm just asking is if there's a way we can have a day they can come into town. It won't be a great big bunch of them at a time. They just kind of roll in, get some barbecue, have some laughs, roll back out again. Every time we do this, every town we go to, every county that we are in, I notify the police, let them know what we're doing, where we're coming. I notify the sheriff's departments. I make sure the people that are riding know we will not tolerate stupidity. We will call the sheriff and have you picked up, removed if you cause a problem. We've been doing this for 7 years. So the first couple of years we kind of weeded out those people that want to act that way. It's just people just wanting to have a good time. Just
What's the date?
June 8th.
Have you been required to get permission or dispensation from any of the other communities that you ride through?
I let them know, and they're just happy that we're bringing people there because they come back. The big one we have in the fall, we generally do it the same weekend as the Folklife Festival, and we let them know. Come ride on Saturday, Sunday go to Hannibal and go to the Folklife Festival. Because, it's a cool thing too. And we bring people from Kansas City and Iowa. We've had people from Indiana. We get a lot of people, and they come to everything that we do like that.
Do they register with you, or do they just show up?
Nope, they have to register. They have to sign a waiver. We get their address and phone number. They pay $20. And we have this.
Do you have like a sticker or something that you give them that shows that they're part of this group?
We do not, but I could. We do require that they have the triangle on it. If they don't have one, we have those for them.
Do you require them to show proof of insurance?
I do not have it. I have not.
Okay.
But these buggies are $30,000,
we just recently passed the city ordinance
$35,000.
requiring
Pretty
that,
much
yeah.
everybody protects them anyway. They're responsible for themselves, for the other people that are in their buggy, for their buggy, for anything that happens.
How would that work with our?
What's your question, Charlie?
How would that work with our recent ordinance change requiring Mayor Pro Tem?
We can do a
We can do
special
a
event
special dispensation or
to
waiver.
allow it. I was
Yeah, Councilman, I was whispering in the mayor's ear. I think this would be in the nature of like a special event permit. It'd be a similar kind of deal. I think it's within your power to do so. You're not violating the law if you
And we'll
are
be-
inclined to do it. So
And there'll be boundaries, or we'll have it, certain roads mapped.
Yes, I
for
can
these
tell you where they're
participants?
going to come in, and we will let them know they need to park in that parking lot at the brewery. If they want to check out downtown, just walk.
Would you want them to be filling out a special event application because like they would need to know that right now and get started on it because you've got one council meeting before their date.
Yeah, we probably should if we're going to do it correctly.
Would you require the insurance requirement as any other event?
Well, I think they would have to have insurance. Everybody else that we have.
Are you saying the people with the buggies having insurance on their buggies? Or, okay,
I think what they're talking about is we do special event permits, you know, you're going to use this area or this area. One of the requirements is that they provide them with some type of an insurance binder saying that if somebody gets hurt, they'll be covered. This is a little bit varied from that, so I'm not sure what's in mind, but I can tell you that's what they're talking about is the entities usually get some type of a little short-term policy that just covers them for that event.
so that would be us getting a, gotcha.
Right.
When would they have to have that?
Next Wednesday at
So I need request for a one-time special.
Okay,
Have it to Melissa by next Wednesday so that we can put it on the next.
okay,
And we're happy to have that.
that'd be
come
great.
through.
find the application.
Okay,
Yep. We're happy to have them come.
good, because there's just too much here for us not to
Sure.
be coming here.
Sounds like a very good time.
All
Oh,
right,
it'd be
awesome.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Marcia Mayfield.
Sir? John. Front and center.
Thank you, sir.
We are back again, requesting street closure for our 27th annual Juneteenth celebration, our festival here in Hannibal, Missouri. Requesting that the blocking off of these streets for our attendees and participants line up at Save-A-Lot parking lot, assemble in front of First Christian Church Broadway, and proceed on down Broadway. Make a left at the lights at Broadway and north on Main Street, on Main, left on Bernard, and end up on 3rd Street to continue at the top of 3rd. The streets that we are requesting to be closed are 5th and Broadway all day for the basketball, 4th and Broadway, Center all day, 3rd and Center while the parade is on. Request that 5th and Center be closed all day as well. And we're also, didn't know if we're to request from you all about the trash containers in the park. We consult with that.
Andy's giving you a thumbs up.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And also, we've had some issues with our parade and the accompaniment of our police department. A couple times, we've had some issues where they just didn't show up and it compromised the safety of our kids and our attendees. I'm understanding that there's a shortage, but just like the 4th of July, we would like to keep everybody safe as well, and wanted to request that we get these two accompany us and at the end as well. Great.
Did Jennifer Grody reach out to speak with you about that?
Not familiar with that name, but
Okay. I spoke with Jennifer Grody about it, and she was going to reach out, kind of touch base. They had noticed that on your application, so she was going to reach out and discuss kind of what your needs were. So I will check back with her chief and see if one of them can get in touch with you about that.
Taken care of. All right, so pending insurance. Anybody have any other questions? I'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve pending insurance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
thank you.
Thank you.
And then when you get your insurance, just make sure Melissa gets it.
Sure.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Nolan, Hannibal High School, street closure.
thank you for allowing me to come up here. We will have graduation this Thursday. We'd like to close Brookside directly behind Porter Stadium, like we've done in the past, with barricades at the corner of McMaster's and Brookside, then where Edgewood comes down, and then also where Greenwood connects, just to make sure there's no traffic behind. During the ceremony from 6:45 to 8:30 Thursday.
They'll still be able to park along there.
Park along the wall?
Yeah.
I don't know if we've done that before. If you parked there before, then yes. But at 6:45, we would have the officer that's in the close that down, yes.
And Jacob, we have that taken care of too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'll need a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mark?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark would like to table you because he didn't think the chief of police was going to be here. So he would like to come back and speak to next council.
Do you not want the chief to be here?
I am just the carrier of the message.
All right, I'll need a motion to table this.
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. No, I mean that really.
It's gonna be good. Yeah.
All right, John.
I'm back for what I hope is clarification with respect to comments that I made at the last meeting regarding money that the city has in the general fund, so on and so forth. I read in the newspaper after the last meeting that the mayor was quoted. That's what he said, but the mayor was quoted as saying, one, it's not like we have that money in the bank. And number two, it's earmarked for projects. John knows that. And in that comment, the mayor was far too I did not know of any earmarkings for projects regarding that $11 million.
John.
Yes.
Not to interrupt and not to be that. I'm just going to question. How long were you mayor?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
How many budgets?
I prepared and submitted 4 budgets.
So you know all about earmarks and everything that's
No,
done
sir.
with
No,
that?
sir. No. We operated under different rules at that time, rules that I would recommend to you all.
Didn't set aside money for anything?
No.
or
Now,
all you just
now,
did was
if you will permit me, under the practices that we had during my time and mayors before and mayors after, the statute was interpreted, state law was interpreted to say, just like county budgets, a city budget had to include all of the money available. And we started out, what you have is an opening balance. We call that the carryover. That was the money that remained in the bank on 30th day of June every year. And we had to budget it. And so theoretically, if everybody spent all the money that was budgeted to them, there'd be no money in the bank account on the following June 30th. And so, just like you all do now, no department spends all the money. You know, there's a vacancy in employment, there's something that they anticipated they needed, they didn't want to buy it, they got it for a lower price, so on and so forth. That's what I'm accustomed to. And like I say, I recommend that. But let me, please take my word for it. I had no idea of what was given me this morning. And I will also say, I haven't had an opportunity to study this or to ask any questions. The city, I got to say something about the city manager. When I came by and picked this up, she was present in the clerk's office, and we had a nice chat. And so I learned some things, and I shared some information that I hope might have been of value. But nonetheless, here's what we can know. Number one, there is $11 million plus in the general fund, and it isn't reflected in this budget. This budget shows the opening balance at $500,000. And so, first of all, my recommendation would be, if that's the opening balance, let the opening balance be reflected in the budget. Honestly and clearly, this is the amount of cash that the budget has. The mayor also said we don't have that money in the bank. Well, $6.5 million of that money is in the bank. The other $4.5 million, give or take, is in a program called the Missouri Securities Investment Program. And I think it was touched upon earlier. That's a statewide thing where city governments, perhaps other governments, can put money and get a greater return than they would just having it lying in the bank. So, but all of it is available. Now, I'm sure there's notice requirements on the Missouri Securities Investment Program, but nonetheless, it's shown as cash. None of that $11 million or $10.5 million, 10 points, whatever it might be, not counting the $500,000, none of it is shown as funding a project in this budget, or at least that's what I was advised. And if I also depart from my remarks just a little bit, this budget arrived in the city clerk's office this morning. I was there. So that may have something to do. Yeah, don't shake your head. I saw the Band-Aids in here.
Bianca, when did the budget get here?
Yes, ma'am. But then this one came this morning.
That is a first print of the budget.
I don't know that I can point to right now, but there are Band-Aids. There,
Yes.
Well, no, I don't know. I'm going to take it. But I don't know that that's all there. But I was told this morning that, here's the budget. It's just not here. Might have something to do with the fact that you want to show up to comment. Although, if you talk about citizens at large, I'm not going to but don't hold me to this. But I think the charter says the budget will be presented, and the council will set a hearing, and it will be no shorter than this many days and no more than that many days. So if the final version even came last week, council hasn't taken action when the budget was presented, but that's not what I came here to. So what I got was, and this is helpful, I got this list, and it looked to me, and in order to get this list, I had to file a request under the Open Records Act. And I got this last evening, or yesterday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So I haven't really been able to completely digest it. But it appeared to me that it may have been generated as a result of my request. And I see that it's shared with all of you, and that's a good thing. But point one is, and in all of your budgets, the total cash available at the beginning of the year should be reflected. And as I took a glance at this, as I was waiting, hearing to conclude, it looks like that except for the general fund, all the other funds seem to have figures of opening balance that are or closely approximately estimated opening balance. I know, for example, in tourism, last year it didn't have 900,000, money that they had, and this year it starts with an opening balance of $6 million. I trust that that's accurate. But beside that point, what I'm here to tell you and urge you is, if you have money that's not reflected in the budget, that information is going to leak out. And if you couple that with your history of doing an awful lot of business behind closed doors, it will result in the voters being circumspect, if not completely reluctant, to approve a tax increase. We had the tax increase voted down last month. I understand there are other tax increases under discussion. And I would say that being candid with the public, being candid with the voters is the best policy. And that way you're not surprised, but somebody said, hey, they're not telling you about this. And so please take that for whatever value it has. And thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, John. All right, under me, Highway 61 bypass. What I'm going to ask council tonight is the concept of a bypass around here. We need be included in those talks. We need to show that that we're together and wanting to be included in those talks about a bypass past Hannibal. I'm not talking about funding. I'm not talking about a specific route, because in order for us to be relevant in the conversation, we have to be of one mind. I had an excellent conversation the other day with the Transportation Committee for the Economic Development Board and some other people, and I feel that in order for us to stay relevant, that we need to be of one mind. And I feel that I don't know if we'll ever see a bypass. I don't know if there'll ever be funding available for a bypass. But in order for us to be part of the conversation with MoDOT and other entities, we need to show that we are willing to take that step. So what I'm asking you tonight is a vote of confidence on backing a bypass plan.
Mayor?
Yes.
Forgive my lack of information.
Sure.
You're indicating that we are not part of a majority of the talks that MoDOT puts forward?
MoDOT is going to do what MoDOT wants to do. But there are other groups involved, us, there's the Transportation Committee for the Economic Development Board, and some other group of people that we believe, if we are of one mind, stand a better chance of shepherding the direction of the bypass and the costs and stuff to our benefit. And like them, I believe that as long as we're together on that, I think that that's our strong suit. That gives us leverage. And that's what I'm looking for, leverage.
So you're just asking for a vote of confidence tonight?
Yes. Yep, exactly what I'm asking.
I agree. I think it's extremely important that we stand unified, at least to the table, to have the discussion with MoDOT and other groups that are pushing for the bypass.
Yep.
The fact that we're not been unified on in the past, I think that's a big reason why MoDOT probably kind of glances over and moves on to other projects that people have that stance on.
We need to be part of the conversation and not be informed of it afterwards.
Exactly.
I believe so as well, but the next thing that's going to come after that is they're going to push a TDD at us.
That's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
A whole different conversation. We know that, and
yeah,
we know how we feel about it. Right now, I want to be part of the conversation on as a whole. And I think the council side gives us that.
We can make those other decisions at that time when they're presented to us, but right now we haven't had the opportunity to sit at that table to have that discussion. So
Exactly.
I'd happily make that.
So I'm asking for a motion,
For that motion.
that the council is unified in the Highway 61 bypass discussion.
I'd make
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and I think the council's done that before.
Yeah. I appreciate your vote. This is something that's going to take several groups outside of MoDOT to determine what. Okay, whether it's funding, whether it's routes, whether it's anything else, and we don't need to be left out of that because the main focus here is how it directly affects Hannibal, and it is our job sitting up here to make sure that it's best.
Does it require a roll call vote?
No. Yep.
I didn't hear the question.
It required a roll call vote.
Okay.
All right. My second item on the agenda is I would like to make it official that this council is willing to move forward with the demolition of St. Elizabeth Hospital.
You know, for a second week, this is, I mean, a lot of.
Hey, you know what? If you ask Councilman Munger down there, he was thrown into some things right off the bat, too.
I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, there you go.
I can think back to the first time I sat on a city council meeting, and the amount of money that we voted on that night, crazy. You know, for the new street department thing, a couple other things. It was intimidating. It is. So I'm not asking anything other than we are together on acknowledging that we are going to demolish St. Hospital.
Mayor, I think our citizens deserve us to start moving on this.
I agree
And we've sat on
wholeheartedly.
it.
That's why I'm bringing it to council. The entire structure, everything.
I would make that motion.
From hearing some of the other words about what condition it's in with standing water, and it's a nuisance and also safety hazard, 100%.
I'd second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to instruct our city manager to start looking at several things. We'll start talking about looking for a solid estimate, tear it down. We'll start looking at what it's going to cost, what it's going to take from the historic registry.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd also like to suggest that if it's not been done already, that we look into reclamation,
Correct.
maybe a nationwide or a broad-based search for reclamation and somehow recoup some of that.
Yes. Yep. We can definitely look forward to that.
I'd like to help in that search. I've had a little experience with those companies,
Okay.
and there can be profit.
Oh, right, and have the city manager look at grants for both remediation and maybe we get lucky and there's money out there to help in the demolition. Wouldn't hold your breath, but you never know.
Please don't hold your breath.
And if anybody out there has any ideas that they can suggest to council, we don't know everything. We're not all-knowing by any means. I've even thought, I don't know how much money could be raised, but open it up for donations by individuals or businesses.
True.
There would be grant money out there for lead paint and asbestos abatement.
Yep, and there's some money available through some other funds that would help towards it. Okay, next one is approval for a reappointment of Sarah North for the Historic Development District Commission. This is the second reading. Sarah has served wonderfully on that, and I think she'll continue doing that. So I need a motion to approve.
I'll make that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa?
Good evening. I have a few items before you. The first is to request to set public hearings, two of those. The first being Chapter 32, revising HDDC appeals process. As the city attorney will tell you, there must be an appeal process in order to provide for due process. So we would like to set the public hearing for June 18th at 6:45. And the changes in this ordinance streamline and clarify. I think that's fair.
It's fair.
Okay. What the appeals process would be. Want me to go ahead and do? Okay. The second one is revising Chapter 32 to match the zoning matrix, which some of you have seen and some of you haven't. But it's a table that we'll put online, and then developers, individuals, etc., staff will be able to take a look at the table and see what uses are allowed where, and it'll make things much easier. Trust me, please. So there was a suggestion to remove the placement of churches and schools in the F district because the F district is industrial, and that is where you can have some of your uses that are not compatible with churches and schools. Is that fair? Okay. So
It's styled in the code, adult entertainment establishments.
Yes.
Are allowed in Zone F.
So, and then it would allow for the placement of kennels, veterinary clinics, and towers transmitting signals to be in the Zone C local business district. And Planning and Zoning has held their public hearings on both of these and passed them forward to council. This one would be for the June 18th meeting at 6:30.
I will need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve both these public hearings for June 18th.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next item I have for you is the approval of reappointments. The first being Andrew Wickstrom for Planning and Zoning for a reappointment for a term to expire in June of 2028.
We'll do these separate since they're different. I'll need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Second would be Board of Adjustment, a reappointment for John Moore for a term to expire in May of 2029.
Need a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. That's what I have for you this evening.
Melissa?
Mayor, Council, I'm just coming tonight to ask for the approval of the yearly actuarial services that we have to perform by law. The Government Accounting Standards Board, under Statement 75, requires state, counties, school districts, and municipalities to acknowledge the liability on the books for the dollar cost for other post-employment benefits, which includes pensions, accrued sick, accrued vacation, post-employment benefits. Currently for the city, that would include health insurance costs, where the city is promised to pay 100% of costs for employees for a minimum of 36 months or until the age 65, whichever comes first, and a percentage of the cost to insure spouses and or dependents. The clerk's office is asking for the approval of Resolution 250824 for the mayor to execute an agreement with Lewis and Ellis to perform the actuarial services for the city of Hannibal for 2023-2024 fiscal year. The agreement will allow Lewis and Ellis to conduct evaluation on behalf of the city in the amount of $5,900. Do you have any questions?
Bianca?
Seems like a lot.
The first item is the plan for 25 through 29, approved by Planning and Zoning at their March meeting. The budget workshops. We present the 25 to 29 capital improvement.
That's Resolution 2509-24.
The resolution for the actual budget, correct?
Resolutions for capital.
Okay. Yeah, I can't. That's the problem.
Second item, after the two budget workshops with the staff and public hearing, now
And that's Bill 24-014 to follow.
Thank you, Bianca.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm coming to you guys this evening to make you aware of some issues that we are suffering at the Molly Brown home. Currently, we have some issues that need addressed immediately. Due to the water issues that we have going on in that home, we have the presence of black mold in the entire structure. This must be treated before we can open the home for any visitors or employees to be in there. The quote that I had ServPro come out, do the testing for the mold, the quote to remediate the mold is $8,442.36. This is not reflected in the budget currently that we're in or for next year because it was something that we didn't foresee happening. This would be an ongoing cost that we do not know what that cost would be, depending on the water continuing. Inside the structure, work needs to be done to drain the water that's coming in properly. Currently, we have 3 foundation walls. Water is coming in over top of the 3rd foundation wall and underneath the 3rd foundation wall. This water is pooling. When I went in there to check on the house the other day, 2 weeks ago, with that last rainfall, I stepped into 3 inches of water in the very front door. I asked a foundation company to come out and take a look and give us some advice on what needed to be done to fix the water problem. Inside the structure, the drain, all the floor needs to be jackhammered out, and a grate needs to be put in and new flooring put down in order to draw all the water that is coming in and over the walls to the sub pump area. To do that work alone on the inside of the structure, the quote was $12,138. This is also not a budgeted expense for this year nor for next year. His recommendation for the outside, because of the way the land sits up against the back foundation of that wall of that home, is slightly elevated. So all the water that comes down from the rain goes in that way, and then all the groundwater also comes in through the bottom. So it's getting water 2 different ways when that happens. So it will require quite a bit of clearing of the hillside to get in there to lay new pipe down, rock, and able to divert the water either direction from that back wall to keep the water from coming in. I do not have a quote on that, but I know when I looked at it before for like the pipe and the rock material itself was between $5,000 to $8,000. So I'm coming here tonight. You guys in your packet have the lab results and the on the black mold and the quote from ServPro on there. My recommendation, I guess, or what I'm asking for this evening is twofold. One is in order to open the home, we have to fix the mold. So we would need to fix the black mold with reserve funds that we have, since it is not a budgeted item for this budget or next budget. And then my next recommendation is to actually plan to move the home to the city-owned property downtown Main Street where the Santa House currently resides. It sits on city-owned property, the Santa House does currently. That property is leased by the museum, and we have had talks with the museum about taking that property over to be able to put the Molly Brown home on there. This would make the maintenance be minimal, and we would become ADA accessible, and we would not be fighting the water, the mold issue constantly as we are now. Also increasing the exposure to the home and admissions, as this property currently is costing the CVB thousands of dollars in the hole every year just to operate. And I would venture to say probably 0.5% of the visitors that come to Hannibal actually see the Molly Brown. We can't get tour buses up there. We can't get people from the boats that come in town to go up there. It's a transportation issue. It's not ADA accessible. It's very hard to get to if you have problems with, getting around with a walker or a wheelchair. It's almost impossible. I do want to give this, I'll hand it over to the mayor. My board met and signed their letter of support today for the move of the home. And I did come from the HHMC, so anybody that doesn't know what that is, Historic Hannibal Marketing Council, so the Downtown Merchant Group organization that puts on like the Twain on Main Festival today. I came from that meeting before this meeting, and they took a vote there, and they voted in support of this move. So I just wanted to give you that information. I'll pass that and then answer any questions.
So this, they have the money in their fund. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of counting, fixing the mold, and such. It's probably going to be about $100,000. And that's moving it, building the foundation for it, and fixing the mold. I don't see how this is not a good idea.
I think it only makes sense, probably not to open this year and to go ahead and move it and then remediate the mold.
Mayor, one question.
Sure.
Because it's been too long ago and I don't remember. Were there any deed restrictions when we got that property?
I do.
I think you were on the I think you were on the council, and I was hoping you could remember.
I
But
think that there is. I don't think there was any restriction
all right,
on that because I think
The only restriction, or the only thing that I've been made aware of, and again, I've only been here for 8 months. The only thing that I was aware of is that when the Dempseys turned it over, that they were going to supply $5,000 a year for X amount of years to help with the maintenance and upkeep with the building. That has long since expired, and I don't know of any other.
there was an issue a while back where we did a deal with an outside entity to manage the museum, and the Dempseys objected to that. And I'm not saying that they would object to this move or that they have the legal right to object. It was just my concern that we might want to explore that before you move too far down the road, because they are attorneys and it's fairly easy for them to file litigation. We might want to take a look before you all made a
goodwill gesture towards them, maybe.
You do have your own attorney, but I don't recall anymore. I mean, it's been 15, 20 years ago that they donated that, and I'm getting old and slept at least once or twice since that happened. So I would have to go back and look, and I'm not trying to derail the thought. I just had a concern because I remember that about 10 years ago, they got upset when we had an outside entity managing it. And I just wondered if anybody had spoken to them or if anybody recalled if there was a deed restriction, because I don't remember.
I think since their contract to supply money long run out,
I think that's probably correct, but again, I wanted to caution the council before you jumped into it.
I certainly can try to reach out to them. I don't know them, so if anybody has,
I know them. I can reach out to Terrell.
yeah, I'm.
Easy to talk to.
James, would you check the deed? Make sure.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to derail the whole thing. I was just bringing it up before you all said, yes, let's do it, let's move forward. I wanted to make sure we had a clear path.
Can you bring us back a recommendation next meeting?
I can give it a shot.
all right. I'll make a motion that we table this until next week.
I have a couple of questions just
Before you do that,
playing devil's
sure.
advocate before we, move forward with this. Number one, is it going to matter historically if it's not in its historical location?
That's not it.
It is not. It's been moved to that. Okay.
No, but we're willing to put up a marker where it currently resides and saying that this was the original spot for tours.
Okay. My second question is, once again, from devil's advocate. Is it a money-making, or are we concerned about it?
Right now it's costing us money.
Right now, it's
Putting all that money into it, is it?
okay. So
Is it
right
worthwhile?
now, it is costing us thousands of dollars by the time you put maintenance staff, the issues that are going on there, and the lack of people coming to tour the home. So the thought process is by moving it down there, that it will get the exposure that it's never had before. It will get used. People can go in there. The tourism visitor center would actually have someone downtown to answer questions. And it would be accessible to all. There's parking down there.
But would you anticipate it
I would
breaking even, or?
I would anticipate way more than breaking even. Yeah, for sure.
I was just listening to the numbers you're putting forth on the excavation, the triple retaining wall, et cetera. The cost for that versus the revenue brought in, it seems to me it's way out of kilter. And can we forego that type of excavation work until, after the move?
I mean, we can forego the whole thing, but the problem is we're going to continue to have mold. We're going to continue to have mold in the building if we don't do anything. So we can close it down for the season and work towards moving it to a different location, or we're going to have to put that money into that location to keep the issue from happening going forward.
May I jump in for just a
Please.
second? Trish, can you explain where the money would come from and maybe a very short, brief explanation of how you're funded?
Yeah, so the CVB, who is responsible for this property solely, is funded through bed tax money. So it is not city taxpayer money. It is solely funded. Our budget 100% comes from 6% bed tax. So
Bed tax.
bed tax is hotel, motel, I know you know, but hotel, motel,
I pay a lot of those.
Airbnbs and bed and breakfast in town pay monthly for their overnights. So they send a report to the collector downstairs every month and remit payment for their lodging. So right now, that's where the money would be coming from. It would have to come out of our reserves. But I do make the commitment that if we do move the home, that we will do our best between now and the time the home is moved to actually do some fundraising as much as we possibly can so that we don't have to take all of it out of the reserves. I also would plan to go talk to some construction and some concrete people that maybe would donate materials for a little plaque that said that they helped do this. So there's other ways that we can help out with the budget, but yes, my budget is all just bed tax. It has nothing to do with city sales tax.
So I guess we could table it tonight until the next meeting, until we have some things, or we could go ahead and vote on it with the caveat that we're going to look into the deed restrictions if there is. So what is your best advice, James?
Before the question is, did you mention when this move might take place? What the time frame for that is?
Based on what happens here, the house moving company that had been quoted before back in 2017 came and quoted this move to see what kind of dollars we're looking at. It's $38,800 to move the home.
I'm at the time frame. When can
They can start
when's as soon as
moving
this
it.
could happen?
They could start moving it as early as August.
So we could have this done by the end of the year.
We would have to ensure
we-
that
we
we
still-
follow proper
Proper everything, but and caveat to that, we also need to make sure we have a foundation poured and things ready to go that way. So it's not going to happen like that anyway.
The goal is to have it ready for next
Yeah, but that's
Next-
3 to
next
4
season.
months.
next tourism season. So
I'm just trying to save you money on this construction costs with the calendar.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I think you already had that in
I
a
know, but
second on the
nobody
floor.
seconded it, so I'm gonna- I just need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we have Resolution 2508-24. I need a motion to have the clerk read this resolution and call the roll for adoption.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 2508-24, a resolution of the City of Hannibal authorizing and approving an engagement agreement between the city and Lewis and Ellis Incorporated for actuarial services related to other post-employment benefits, OPBEB, for fiscal year 2023-2024 for the city, including the library, parks and recreation, and tourism, for a total of $5,900. Councilmember Munger?
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Phillips?
Yes.
Councilman Welch?
Yes.
And Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. I declare Resolution 2508-24 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now I need a motion to have the clerk read Resolution number 2509-24.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Resolution 2509-24, a resolution of the City of Hannibal, Missouri, approving and adopting the 5-year capital improvement program for the years 2025 through 2029. Councilman Munger?
Yes.
Councilman Haycraft?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dobson?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Phillips?
Yes.
Councilman Welch?
Yes.
And Mayor Lauderman.
Yes. I declare Resolution 2509-24 duly approved and adopted on this day. Now we have Bill number 24-014. I need a motion to have the clerk give this bill a first reading.
So moved.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Bill number 24-014, an ordinance approving the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget and appropriating to the various departments, boards, commissions, and agencies of the city government of the City of Hannibal, Missouri for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, first reading.
Now I'd like to go into closed session in accordance with RSMO 610.021, 2, and 12. I'll need a motion to go into closed session for this. I want to include myself, city council member, city attorney, city manager, city clerk, director of central services, Maria Coons, executive director of HREDC. Then we have some virtually, Sherry Chenwork, regional manager of Missouri Department of Economic Development. Are these guys same thing? Okay, Mark Grimm, Brian Cordy, and Jeff Weindel.
You want to
Senior.
include Hal?
Huh?
Did you want to include Hal?
Yeah, we can include. All right, I just need a motion.
I can make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Started.
We didn't take a motion.
All right. Sure. That's okay. That's.